Welcome to the Finance Utopia animated video series on finance transformation. A quick and common sense guide to everything you need to know about transforming your finance team without the need for large consultancies and the hype. This is the fourth and final part of our series on finance transformation, the transformation journey. Let's recap the story so far. In part 1, we introduced finance transformation and discussed why it is such a hot topic. This was followed by part 2, where we looked at and gave some practical examples of the starting point for many projects, process improvement. In part 3, we looked at effecting change in the organisation and again gave some examples of how to achieve this in practice. This final part will now concentrate on the transformation journey itself and how to deliver this in practice. Before we start on the journey, let us look at the reasons why transformations often fail. And they do. The first thing to note is that surveys show that technology only accounts for 1% of failures, although it is often used as the scapegoat. The first category of failure is the scope of transformation. In our experience, there can be two extremes. One is lack of vision, not understanding what is possible, leading to expectations not being met. At the other end of the scale, there is the unrealistic scope, often, dare I say it, set by large consultancies who try to boil the ocean. As a result, budgets can be unrealistic. There are also unrealistic timescales to delivering transformation, always on the short side. Remember, transformation is an ongoing process and it should have no time limits. The second category is people. This is probably the most difficult area of all to overcome. Lack of C-level support is the biggest issue that we have experienced, and this is fundamental to success. Failure to manage change, processes will change, required skill sets will change, team member roles will change. It is human nature not to like change, and managing this properly is critical. The final point I think is worth making. Too many transformations fail due to a lack of courage and conviction. The CFO and the finance team have to be brave and tackle issues head on. Too often it is filed in the too difficult pile and transformation is halted. The last category is delivery. This is the old story about delivery of any project. Failure in project governance, failure to resource with the right people for the right amount of time. This also includes failure to bring in external resource experts where it is necessary to provide higher level skills that do not exist internally. The final issue is failure to prepare. By this we mean failure to identify what is important and what order to do it in. The phrase trying to walk before you can run springs to mind. To mitigate against failure, we advocate a simple 3-step process to transformation. In overview, we would start with setting a vision for the CFO and the finance team. The second step is selecting a technology platform. The third step is delivering transformation. Let us look at these 3 steps in detail. Step 1. Set a vision for the CFO and the finance team. This is the area we will look at in detail, as this is the one that addresses many of the scope failure points. There are 5 key parts to setting a vision, a task that should be performed by the CFO and the finance team. The first is defining how you, the finance team, want to be perceived by your organisation. We would advocate that you canvass the organisation for their perception as a starting point. There are 2 extremes in my opinion. The first is a team that is back office processing, delivering data, rear mirror focused, and remote or siloed from the organisation as a whole. This is what I'll describe as the bean counter status. The other extreme is where the finance team is seen as front office, information delivering, which is data with value added, forward thinking, and a fully integrated business partner to the organisation. This I describe as the strategist and is where I would personally want to be. However, you need to decide as a team where you want to be on the scale from bean counter to strategist, as this impacts everything that follows. Secondly, understand and be honest about your current position. This means getting into the nitty-gritty of each process and identifying where issues exist and where there are inefficiencies and what can be done better. At the same time as understanding the current position, you also need to identify any potential barriers and their impact. We would recommend that you start with a blank canvas, although you need to be realistic. Some limitations may be around systems and technologies or available resources and skills. Next is identifying any potential impact on resource and skill sets, although we accept that this may be difficult at this early stage. The final part is setting out a high-level plan for transformation. This should map out the key steps, identify quick wins, identify and quantify benefits, and calculate and outline cost. In our opinion, this is an exercise where you will require advisory assistance. It requires an understanding of the art of the possible, what good looks like, and also the potential impact on resource. Also, you will require some expertise to help you with an outline cost. The output from this whole process should be an outlined strategic plan for finance transformation that can be presented to the organisation. As the key stakeholder, it is then the responsibility of the CFO to sell this vision to the CEO and the board. Whilst we would have included some kind of quantified benefits, if you start to get into detailed ROI discussions, then we would suggest that the organisation is not ready for transformation and that the CFO has failed to sell the vision. Transformation is not solely about costs. It is about growth of the organisation as well as the development of a strategy that is of more value to the business. Step 2 in delivering transformation is selecting a technology platform. This is a subject in itself and is a video series to come in the near future, so we will cover this at a high level only. You will gather detailed requirements and within this, amongst others, identify complex and critical needs, platform restrictions, and decide upon a deployment methodology. Ultimately, this will result in an RFP for distribution. You will need to shortlist potential vendors, we recommend a maximum of 3, and potentially perform a proof of concept. From this, you will be able to select a partner for technology and delivery. As I say, look out for our upcoming video series on this subject. The final step is delivering the transformation. Again, we will only cover this at a very high level, as finance transformation is nothing out of the ordinary. What we would highlight is to look for quick wins. For an initiative such as transformation, it is critical to build confidence and momentum in the early stages. As discussed in part 2 of our series, start with process improvements, thus freeing up key staff to deliver further transformation. Once you have the foundations in place, start to effect change in the organisation and the perception of the finance team as detailed in part 3. Remember, finance transformation is an ongoing initiative that never stops. In summarising delivery transformation, start with setting a vision for the CFO and the finance team. For us, this is the critical step to mitigate against failure. Once this is in place, select a technology platform and a partner for delivery. Finally, deliver transformation as an ongoing process. To get the most from transformation, use external expertise to guide you through the process. This can prove invaluable. So, we've come to the end of our 4-part series on finance transformation. Hopefully, we have met our objectives. To cut through the hype and talk in language that we can all understand. To help you understand in simple terms what finance transformation is and the potential for it within your organisation. And to help you visualise the art of the possible through examples of transformation in practice. We hope that we have shown that every finance team from every organisation can set their own vision for a cost-effective transformation. And most of all, I hope we've given you inspiration to develop from bean counters to strategists and thought leaders.